So how do you know which mic is being used right now? Is it using the AirPods or using the DJI mic? Anyways, what up, though? Welcome to another one, a late night Al Cuerpo Boxing to the body. So let's get with it. Let's talk some boxing. I just saw a while ago the first Senate hearing between essentially De La Hoya versus Nick Khan, right? Nick Khan repping the whole Zuffa boxing outfit with Dana White and the Saudis, right? Turkey Al Sheikh. I would say, man, to be honest, there was some good points from both sides, but I think there were a lot of like dark things that weren't disclosed that could have been disclosed to aid De La Hoya's De La Hoya's party, right? His side. I think it was like De La Hoya and Nico Walsh versus Nick Khan and some other cat. I forgot what his name is, but that's what it was. But I don't know where to start, man, because I think maybe a lot of fans might be confused as to how it benefits us as boxing fans, right? If this reform happens, and if it, is it good for boxing? I think so. What I mean is these hearings are good for boxing, not so much that the Ali Act, if it's reformed, that's good. I don't believe that. Sorry if I got confused there. But one thing I got to give Oscar De La Hoya credit is that he mentioned the backing for Zuffa, which was the Saudi sports washing. I got to give credit to Oscar for mentioning that because I think Oscar was the only one that went knee deep in the grand scheme of things. All right, because here's the main thing, guys. I think I don't, and I think, and I've been on and off on this, man. But a lot of fans don't understand the conflict of interest in which it's really the Saudis that are back. If it wasn't for the Saudis, Nick Khan and Dana White wouldn't even be going in this direction. All right, because their their plan to make like this whole one-stop shop thing for boxing is kind of cool, man. Because I'll say this, guys, I'm gonna be transparent or objective. Not all fighters, not all athletes are created equal, and what I mean by that is the marketing aspect of it, right? Some athletes are just bound to be better than others as far as like a marketing point of view. All right. So I think with Zuffa boxing, what they're trying to do is obviously they're more business model, right? They're trying to put the UFC model into boxing. And they don't want any post aftermath repercussions that they don't want a fighter to attack their business and say, hey, yo, the reason why you're doing good in this quarter, right? Because Nick Khan was talking about that, their whole entity is public, right? It's public domain. So if you want to know how much they make, okay, yeah, that's all nice to say, but that's not really, that doesn't give any details or how would that connect to a fighter's success, win or lose, all right? Let me dive more into this though. Like for example, you guys know that the I think the UFC had some sort of like they had some sort of big case where they had to make a settlement because of I guess disclosures, right, or non-disclosures about financial earnings. That's what this whole thing is about, guys. Is that what Zuffa Boxing, from their point of view, is they want to try their best to promote you as a fighter, but that's that. It's like a one stop thing where it's all inclusive. We give you a good deal, a good contract. It's like take it or leave it, right? That's their point of view. And what they don't want is once they give you a good pay, right? And maybe there's some stipends, maybe there's some royalties involved. We don't know. That's only between the fighter and Zuffa. But what they don't want is they don't want a fighter and a fighter's manager, right? Because they want to have everything inclusive. They wouldn't want a fighter to attack their profits in the long run, be it a quarter or half a year or let's say a year after. They don't want a fighter to go back at them and say, hey, you know what? The reason why you're doing good success is because of my replay that was done last month and therefore you gotta pay me because I'm the reason why you guys are doing good profit wise. That's the essence, and that's why the Ali Act protects the fighter, right? Because everything should be going towards the fighter in the grand scheme of things. All the profits should be going to the fighter. And now we're in an age, and Nick Khan likes to give circumstances back from the 70s and 80s with Hagler and Frazier. Okay, that's different times, man. Yo, the technology is gonna change, of course, right? And so with Zuffa boxing, what they're trying to protect themselves into not having a fighter exploit post residual profits. If if you guys know what I'm getting at, let me do a quick shout out here. ¿Qué onda, Atómico? He says what a drag. Is there some latency? We got a quick one from Hyorin Maru. He says, long live the Guadalajara cartel. That's a funny one, man. Yo, shout out to El Chapulín. Oh yeah, Atómico, if you can hear me, let me know if you can hear this, man, because I don't know if the lag. Pero vamos a ver. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, because I'm gonna say this. Your shout out to Atomico, man. Go ahead and subscribe to his channel, man. Really good friend, really good padre, really good family, man. I'm gonna say this, guys. Oh man, estoy se me olvidando my points, and that's in Spanish. It's me forgetting. Um, how do we go about this, guys? How do we go about this? As I said before, man, not all fighters are created equal. So, so to some fighters, yo, the one stop shop plan might be good, right? Yo, give me 5 million, yo, and I'll be good. You won't have to worry about me hitting you later on about the profits that you're making, right? Again, guys, that's why I like to bring up royalties and stipends, and that's all between the fighter and the promoter. But Zuffa Boxing is trying to be an all-inclusive outfit, promoter, manager, and take it or leave it. That's their whole model. What I think De La Hoya and Nico Ali Walsh, what they should have done was also bring up lineage about the fighters of the past, because yeah, we know there's the IBF, there's a WBA, WBC, WBO, lo que sea. That's fine, and the fighters know that. You got to give benefit of doubt to fighters that some fighters might be down to want to unify. Like for example, a fighter wins the green strap, all right? He wins the WBC belt, and he lives on to say, you know what? I fought for the belt that Salvador Sanchez had, or I got the belt that Ali had once. And you know what? I also want to go for the IBF belt, or I want to go with the WBO because Klitschko had it at one point. For example, you got to give fighters benefit of doubt that they might have justifiable reasons to want to unify with different sanctioning bodies, right? Because I know Nick Khan was saying, well, there should only be one champion. Yo, I think Nick Khan is trying his best to rewrite history, but there's a lot of details and circumstances that sometimes us fans, we admire a particular body's lineage. We don't really talk about that much, but we don't. Some fans like to focus on lineage per body, okay? And sometimes we shouldn't contradict ourselves or be hypocrites because yeah, we like debates that there should only be one champion or whatever, but that's fine. That's why the ring belts position, and this might be a paradox, but the ring belt, they help the situation in that like the best of the two champions in whatever how many organizations, but the best of the two, the winner will get the ring strap. That's fair, guys. That's fair. And then, of course, you got undisputed, right? As Nico Ali Walsh, he said in his part that some fighters might want to go for undisputed, and that's true. But all fighters are different, or all athletes are different. And I guess the problem is, do you agree? Do you agree with a I would promotion? I mean, Zuffa would be all inclusive. Do you agree that if they give a fighter a good deal to begin with, then that's that? Then that way the fighter doesn't have the right to attack an entity later on and saying, "Yo, you owe me this," right? Because that's the Zuffa boxing. Again, they're trying to protect themselves so that the fighter doesn't exploit residual profits in the long run. I'm like 50-50 on this, man, because of course I'm gonna side with the fighter. Any business person, of course, you want what's right, right? And so let's talk about disclosure for those of you that might be confused with disclosure. We're talking in a new digital streaming era, right? So you have metrics. You have metrics. So you could say, for example, after an event's over, let's say it did good or it didn't do good, but let's say Netflix's metrics in this particular category is doing very good for the next 3 months. You, as a fighter, if depending on how big you are, you might say, you know what? The reason why that climb is going in the metrics is because of me. And so, therefore, where's my royalty share? You get it? Like, that's the complication right there. And that's what Zuffa Boxing doesn't want. And, fair to them, they have a right to think that, man. Yeah, of course, it's a business, but they're fronting up the money, right? They're fronting up the money. And again, before I forget, that's the conflict of interest there because who's really fronting the money? It's the Saudis, right? It's the Saudis. And what's complicated about it is because this is an American Senate. Ideally, and I made a joke about this earlier, like let's say if Netanyahu was a part of this Senate hearing, he might even like rule out Zuffa Boxing because let's imagine he might be like, you know what? Nah, you're doing business with some Saudis and in the Middle East. Like, nah, he might be a hater in that aspect. For those of you that get it, I'm just talking about like the geopolitics and the real guys in power, right? Being the stateside, the USA. But I'd be surprised, guys. Yo, if the Senate were to pass this reform bill, you could technically say that they are being biased to the Saudi sports washing, and they might not even know it, or maybe they do know and they don't care. That's what's funny, man. That's what's really funny. The geopolitics about it. Because if they do pass the reform, you might think, wait a minute, why did the American Senate favor Nick Khan, Dana White, and the Saudis? Why would they do that, right? There's like a loophole going on here. So that's one aspect of it. And shout out to Oscar because Oscar was the first one to say it. Again, in the introduction of this Senate hearing, Oscar De La Hoya said that it's funded by the Saudis. Yo, he just went straight up to it. He went straight on it. Um, I mean, that's not a knock on the Saudis, man. They're doing their thing, and Dana White and the Nick Khan affiliates, they're doing their part, man. So you can't really hate. But again, guys, the main problem here is the residual profits in a new streaming era of metrics, right? Now, you know what? I'm gonna tell you this. So hopefully Atomico's listening to this. Now you guys understand again, man, the weird occurrence of the Canelo Crawford fight because yeah, Canelo got paid crazy in this by Zuffa Boxing, the Turkey Al Sheikh and whatnot, and so did Crawford. But it seems like Zuffa Boxing was at the peak of building their portfolio for whatever new business moves they were gonna do in the future, right? And to do that, to build your portfolio, you need like the best of the two stars in the game, and that was Canelo and Crawford. I don't want to dive too much into the politics of the scoring and the broadcast and all that stuff, but put it this way, and some of you might agree. Some I know some cats do agree with this, but the Zuffa Boxing skeletal structure benefits more of having American stars on that platform, right? Than let's say Mexican stars. Um, Now that's a complicated situation because they were talking about Oscar was talking about 4 round fighters or pay grades. Like how do you measure that? That's where the transparency conflict comes into play, right? Who's really getting the fair share, you know? And that's another key aspect that I've always been talking about is that ideally in this American business model, which is Zuffa Boxing, right? The Dana White and whatever, they're gonna favor the American fighter guys, and that's what the Saudis want, right? If we're talking about the Saudi sports washing, you're gonna benefit more in having a Western icon image. Okay, how does that translate with Canelo Crawford? Well, Crawford's already retired, and I think shout out to Crawford and Canelo because they just stole that money. They took the money. Crawford retired. Turkey Al Sheikh said, "Don't retire because we got other things." Who knows? I think Crawford's going to come back, but they're trying to wait a bit. And ironically, who knows if Crawford will come back unless Crawford gets paid really well, right? With Zuffa boxing, and I guess the same thing with Canelo. But and then that's why, guys, being your own promoter is the best thing, man. Being your own promoter is essentially the best thing because they got to work with you direct. They got to work with you direct, and I guess that kind of goes against the Zuffa boxing model, man. But again, guys, again, not all athlete or fighter is created equal. So Zuffa boxing, if part of their philosophy is to do the best for the fighter, right? You got Netflix backing you, you got Paramount, they're gonna do their best to promote you. Then you as a fighter, excuse me, you gotta be responsible for being successful, right, in your fight and however other way they're gonna manage you. I think though with Zuffa boxing, it's all inclusive, so Zuffa boxing has to do all the promoting for you. That's they're obligated to do that, right? And that's the transparency. It's like who's really measuring their job? Would Zuffa is Zuffa boxing? Are they doing the best for you? Are they promoting you the best? That's another complicated scenario, and why that's why there's opposing forces against it. Yo, Aidan says, yo, what up, though? Hi. Yo, shout out to anybody pulling through. So, so again, man, Oscar, I don't know, guys. Who won the first round, man? Who won the first round between Nick Khan and Oscar De La Hoya? Again, I think Nick Khan was kind of going in circles. I think Nick Khan was just giving circumstantial facts that we already knew, especially like the greats of the past. And I do like the whole reform about the medical protocols in boxing, or I guess in their league, right? If you want to call it that. I do like that, but that might, I mean, in my point of view, that's more like the cheap side of it because it wouldn't cost that much to reform the medical protocols for that. And guess who's backing that? Obviously, the Saudi backing has got that all on lock. So let that be like a reminder to the current traditional states, statesiders, right? Every state's different on how they're gonna have a more uniform outlook for medical procedures, okay, and like the life insurance and whatnot. And Oscar made a good point about the main beneficiary of super boxing with the life insurance policies, or I guess medical insurance for the fighters in said event, man. So I don't know, man. Or what about Nico Ali Walsh's? Did he really preserve his father's stance in not having the act reformed? I don't know. He did make some points about being a monopoly. Okay, we get that, but I think Oscar and Nico Walsh they could have done a little bit better homework and maybe throw more geopolitics towards the Senate, man. Like flex them because it's live, and you might get some patriotic. You might get some real stateside nationalists that don't like the idea of a foreign entity essentially backing, American boxing because you I guess we could say boxing is more of an American sport, right? Of course, second, Mexico lindo, and then the UK and other parts of the world, but that's all subjective as well, man. That's all subjective. Quick shout out to Puro. Yeah, he says Kugo the champ. Yeah, man, shout out to Puro. So go ahead and subscribe to Puro. Yeah, Puro. I don't know if you saw the Senate hearing live or you watched the replay, but I think there's going to be more Senate hearings right now. The round one, yo, I'll be honest. I think the first round was a draw between Nick Khan and Oscar De La Hoya. And you know what's crazy is that like the guys that are running the Senate themselves, they kind of thought it was like a joke. I think they thought of it more of a joke because either side didn't really do their homework to present their cases good enough. And now again, I'll remind you guys that Nick Khan kind of didn't really say anything essential to back his claim that yeah, it's public. everybody gets to see how much they're gonna make, right? Because it's public, but that has nothing to do with dissecting a particular event, right? So if let's say, okay, let's be hypothetical here. Let's say Virgil Ortiz signs with Zuffa Boxing, and Virgil Ortiz does a major event on Netflix or Paramount, whatever, and in the next 3 months after that event, let's say Virgil Ortiz wins a fight. Does Virgil Ortiz does he deserve some of that residual profits that Zuffa Boxing and that affiliation gained in those 3 months? Like that's the paradox, guys, or that's where the complication, that's where the transparency comes to a halt. And ironically, right now we got Virgil going, or ironically, guys, ironically, man, Virgil Ortiz is in the same theme right now, going through a thing with Golden Boy because of what's the best for that fighter, man. Yeah, boxing is a mess. Luckily, us fans, we get it. It's the Wild West like that. I thought it was funny that Oscar De La Hoya kind of fumbled the ball because he said that, Surdo versus Benavides is upcoming and that's good, right? But then he also said the success of, he was talking about title fights, right? He said the success of Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis. I think he meant Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios. If I'm not mistaken, he got confused there. Yo, guys, you gotta brush up on your homework there. All right, that's where Oscar fumbled the ball. Nico Ali did a little bit good on his part, and luckily Nico, what's his name? Nick Khan didn't really do any essential meat to back his thing. He just, well, shout out to Nick Khan. Man. He's more like just business oriented, and he's not really into the nitty gritty about meritocracy and lineage, man. Okay, I like that there's different organizations, to be honest, because it depends on the context. If we as fans are talking about a particular fight in different eras or unifications, how the hell can we dismiss organizations? That makes no sense. Of course we gotta be for it. We gotta respect the fighter that put his life in the ring for that organization, that acknowledged unification, that acknowledged undisputed. You know what I'm saying? So, and then Zuffa Boxing wants to be all centralized. It's just one. I don't know, man. It's crazy. I mean, yo, Eric Gomez. Yo, shout out to Eric Gomez. Yo, I haven't seen you in a bit. He says Bomb Squad. Yo, cuerpo salute. And he says I only speak the facts. Oscar voice. Yeah. So, yeah, man. I thought, yo, it's important, guys, man. But in the next round in the Senate hearing, Oscar's got to redo his homework. Hopefully, ironically, Oscar is repping the game. I don't know if he'll do the next one, but he sounded. I think recently, Fight Hype did an interview with Oscar, and Oscar kind of sounded a bit morbid or cryptic. Like he feels like he didn't win the round. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I mean, that's just Oscar's point of view. And Nico Ali Walsh, yeah, he needs to brush up on his homework as well. He did a good thing, but he was being too joyful. Yo, guys, in a situation like this, you gotta be more aggressive to the Senate and flex Nick Khan. Now I'm not going against Nick Khan, man, because I respect all aspects of the business. What I do expect is full disclosure of metrics, and in the long run, yeah, the major beneficiary for all the profits got to go to the fighter. I may be contradicting myself because not all fighters, not all athletes are created equal. I'm not talking about physical ability. I'm talking about markability, the essence of a human, man, an aura. We're all different, Unfortunately, don't get that. Don't mistake me what I mean by that. I'm just saying, like, in the business point of view, for some of you fighters that if you yourself are doubtful of where you're going to go in the future, if you'll ever be a champion, hey, maybe Zuffa Boxing might be for you. If they give you a good deal, just make sure you get the right deal. And that's what Oscar was insinuating too at that Senate hearing. That's what he was insinuating. Make sure you get the best deal that's for you. Play hardball, Sell yourself high as a fighter. Sell yourself high and don't go for the low. Yeah, shout out to who else? Yeah. Was already knee deep, 25 minutes deep, man. I'm in the camita, man. I'm in the bed right here, just chilling because it's late. But what else? Anything else? I don't know if you guys saw it, man. If you, what else you guys saw? How does this? How does the audio sound? Sounds good. What's up with this shadow here? Anyways, what else, guys? What else? Anyways, round one, I'm gonna say was a draw, guys. I'm gonna say, is that even possible? Can a first round even be a draw? Yo, no, no, I got a better one for you guys. It was a no contest. They all failed, and the Senate was just having a joke about it. You guys watched the replay, man. I don't think the Senate even took it seriously. That's not good, guys. That's not good because they might be lazy and just side over Nick, or they might say, "Yo, we need a couple more hearings to really dive deep." Because I forgot what the lady's name or the other ones, but they were asking him to have better formative points on the situation, and I don't think neither side were able to do it, man. Maybe we fans got a better get a better perspective on that. Real quick, when Puro says, "Yeah, it's just a theater," yeah, Puro knows what's up, man. Puro knows the politics, but yo, a quick tangent, man. Who you guys got then, man? Benavides versus Zurdo. That's gonna be a badass fight. Then we got Duarte versus Fierro, right? And then last but not least, oh man, I can't believe I'm forgetting the fights here, man. Munguia versus Resendiz, man. I'm hyped up for this one. I'm hyped up for this one. I think the last video I did, I think I was leaning more towards Zurdo, if I'm not mistaken, man. I think I literally said 55-45 to Zurdo. But yo, we're close, guys. We're close. I don't know how the physiques are gonna look. Essentially, it's not something we should really worry about. But yeah, Zurdo's a big ass dude. He a big boy, man. He a big boy. And the last video I saw him hitting a bag, and he's I don't know. I think he's gonna be ready, and I'm calling him. I think it's gonna be a serie. It's gonna be a series in between these two, and that's good for boxing. At least give me some paisa drama, and I hope a lot of fans they kind of wake up and realize the whole theme about the Mexican monster, yo. Because I think this is a big challenge for David because if Benavides loses and loses to a cruiserweight unified champion that's been there like him, right? Because Surdo was the first Paisa champ at 168. So again, guys, I did a video about this more than a year ago. Who is really the Mexican monster in this fight? To the Mexicans, right? To the pure Mexican fans, if Zurdo wins, or let's say if Zurdo wins by stoppage, can you guys imagine if Zurdo were to win? Is he now the Mexican monster? Will that educate fans in general about this whole Mexican theme, man? Yo, Mike, shout out to Mike Tyson for confusing people, man. And shout out to the Benavides family, I guess, to them too, man, because I guess the father tried his best to revamp their family dramas. And yo, if Mike Tyson's calling my son the Mexican monster, of course I'm gonna go with that, right? You can't hate on the Benavides family for that. So shout out to them. Yo, good luck, man. But I think Surdo's gonna be a hard ass fight. I'm just picking Surdo right now. I just think he's got the experience. He's big. I do like that David does acknowledge speed. Yeah, yo, the speed is something that Surdo's gonna have to adjust to. He's gonna have to play it out. I recommend Surdo, yo, bait to the ropes, man. Take yourself to the ropes. Feel that power. As you guys know, leaning on the ropes, playing rope a dope, but leaning on the ropes is gonna absorb a lot of that power, man. So what do? That might tire out Benavides, and who knows? Benavides might even know all that. He may not even have a fight that you guys expect. Because Benavides can be elusive if he wants to. He could be a very elusive defensive guy in this fight, and that's gonna cause good drama, man. That's why I'm saying it's like the next Barrera Morales because that's what we need. We need to see some dynamics. We need to see dynamics between I don't know I think this is the first time we see two big Mexican dudes more than 200 pounds in a classical fight. We haven't seen that, right? We haven't seen that in I think it's the first time we've ever seen that this magnitude past 200 pounds. Yo, quick shout out here. He says Erico Gomez says, yo, Surdo wins easy. I don't know about that, man, but we'll see. Surdo has a bigger IG than Benavides. I think I said something like that a while ago. I don't know if that matters. Yo, don't let Zufa Boxing know that, man, because Zufa Boxing gives you all inclusive deal. Yo, take it or leave it. You know, you got 6 million followers, but we're gonna give you this offer. Take it or leave it. You don't bother us. That's gonna be my new recurring joke about Zufa Boxing. Take it or leave it. Yo, Benavides went from red flag to Mexican flag. Oh, really? I didn't notice that. Yeah, he probably should though. He says big drama show, Triple G voice. Yeah, what's up with Triple G, man? Yo, yeah, that's funny, man. Actually, I think Triple G is now full like Olympic committee, right? All president between the Olympic and amateur protocols of the world. But I think, if I was Triple G, yo, I would sign on with Zuffa Boxing too. Yo, steal that money and dip out, man. Don't worry about it. Dip out, man. Or take the Saudi money, man. Anyways, I'm gonna cut out, man. I already been like 30 minutes deep on this. Shout out to Eric Gomez and Puro and Boxeo Atomico. Hit me up earlier, man. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Who won round one? I'm gonna say a draw, man. They all failed, man. That was a failed ass meeting. Y'all, peace out, y'all, man.